Hey guys, I'm Erin and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a review of the book Among Thieves by MJ Kuhn. I was lucky enough to get an art copy of this from Netgalley, and so this book is being published this year on September 7th. So we're following several members of this kind of down on its luck gang. They're like the third-rate gang in this underworld area of their city. They've had better times, and one of the main characters discovers this opportunity to pull off this heist to steal this magical relic that is being kept on this kind of impenetrable island. And she discovers this because the king of another country wants this relic and had propositioned one of the other gangs to contract them to steal it for him and he would pay them. But they turned it down because this island is just like so well guarded that they're like, it's not worth the danger of getting caught, it's not worth it. So our main character overhears this and says, hey, let's go steal this thing, and then we can present it to the king and be like, yo, we stole this thing you wanted, why don't you pay us what you're gonna pay that other gang? And so the whole gang ends up being brought together to pull off this because the gang leader uh, needs the money because, again, kind of a down luck gang, and then each member of our heist squad also kind of has their own selfish motivation. Like, you kind of go through each of them and they're like, well, if I could steal it, I could use the money for this thing, or maybe I could steal it and go sell it to this person instead. So we have a team that's working together but also completely working against each other at the same time, because when you're part of a gang in the underworld, you're not always the best team player. You kind of want to further your own interests as well. And so that's essentially the plot of this novel, is them kind of putting this gang together and then pulling off or attempting to pull off this heist. So I'm going to kind of talk about my thoughts about the book in several sections. I'm going to start off with the characters. So we have several points of views in this book of the different heist squad members, as well as this one character who is not a member of the gang but kind of gets thrown in with that. She's a disgraced former guard captain, and she ends up getting thrown in with the heist because of the knowledge she can use, and she gets promised things if she helps. So we have a mixture of point of views between them. I will say I did overall enjoy the characters. However, I do think the characters is kind of its weakest point, and it's one of those things that your mileage may vary on if you enjoy them or not. I did, because I am not, if I'm enjoying the plot of a book, I don't need super deep characters. But if you're a very character driven reader who really needs like those deep, well fleshed out characters, I think for the most part these characters were likable and enjoyable to read about, but they weren't the deepest. Rhea, our main character, is the one that got fleshed out the most. She's kind of the main character of this book, and we definitely delve more into her backstory, but I kind of feel like the others, you could tell they had backstories, like there'd be little hints, and you learn a little bit, but you didn't really delve deeply into any of their characters, and so for that, to me, they all remained somewhat surface level. In some ways, it reminded me of my D&D campaign, or at least the way my group runs our D&D campaign, where we kind of started out and you didn't know, you kind of had little tidbits of background for each of the different characters, but you didn't know full stories. And as our campaign goes on, we'll do mini arcs, and like one mini arc may delve into the background of this character. Okay, now we all kind of know what this character is about. And then the next mini arc will delve into the background of a different character. So this kind of felt like the first arc of those, where Rhea was the character we delved into in this one, and then the next one we might delve into this other one. And honestly, if this hadn't been a standalone, this probably wouldn't have been something I'd brought up as a weakness, because it definitely reads like it could have been the first book in the series, where in book 2 we delve more into another character. And I don't think it would have been a weakness if this had been book 1 in the series, because I just would have expected to not know full stories, or like I would have expected to delve more in later books. But because this is a standalone, I do wish we had gotten just a little bit more of some of the other characters. I didn't need like pages and pages of huge backstory, but I do think some of the other characters remained somewhat surface level in this book, and they kind of felt boiled down to their skill for what they were being used for in this high squad, as well as like a key personality trait. I just wish we'd gotten a little bit more from those characters. However, again, since I do not need super deep characters if I'm enjoying a plot, this didn't super impact my reading. But if you're someone who needs deep characters, this might be something that might not work as well for you. Plot-wise, I thought this book was very engaging. I personally enjoy heist setups in books. Like The Lies of Wakamura is one of my favorite books. Like, I just love the heist setup in media, especially in books, and so I enjoyed it. I think the heist while overall the plot didn't do anything like spectacularly new or like groundbreaking for this heist subgenre, it did keep me on my toes a little bit, and it was just fun. Like, I didn't need it to do anything new. I signed up for this book because I wanted a fun heist, and I got a fun heist. So I think it accomplishes what it set out to do very well in that regards. I thought it was a pretty fast-paced read. I have seen reviews that disagree with that, but I got pretty sucked into it and thought it was pretty fast-paced, and it was a fun adventure of a story to like throw in between series or between longer books. And that's, I think, kind of what this book felt like to me, what that book was setting out to do, and I think it accomplished that very well. And then next I'm going to talk about some of the world building. I think, so the world building in this one is one that if you're someone who loves reading fantasy books with intricate worlds, you're not going to get that. I mean, this is, again, a standalone book that's, 350 pages? There's only so much world building you can do in that, but I think the world building, it's like you didn't know a ton about the greater world in the other countries, but you didn't really need to either. Like, I feel like you got what you needed to enjoy what the story was. Again, it's one of those things that while this is a standalone, I know the author has stated she would love to revisit this world, and I would love if she did and we could learn more, but I didn't think I needed to learn more to enjoy this story for what it was. Beyond the literal world, we also had some magic in this book. We had these people who are called the Adept, and there's two kinds. There's censors who can kind of like sense violent thoughts. If like, so there's someone like around the corner who's like thinking about coming in and like stabbing you, you would sense that ahead of time. And then you had the kinetics who can like move stuff. And so those are kind of the two types of Adept, and these Adept are found as babies and brought to this island where the relic that they're stealing is. So then they're trained up by the Guildmaster. I think that was what this position is called. I do not have the book with me to check. I think it was called Guildmaster. When they like become fully trained, he does something, and people aren't sure what, but he does something to kind of take away the Adept's humanity, and so instead of being just like skilled people, they become like zombie slaves, and then they get sold off to nobles and the rich of the different worlds to use as slaves. They're like servant slaves, and they get branded by their owner, and then they will follow the commands of just that person. And I thought this concept was pretty interesting, especially without going too deep into spoilers. The relic that they're trying to steal is related to the Adept, and I especially thought what she developed with this relic was really quite interesting, and I enjoyed the magic in this. I would definitely be interested in reading more in this world if she ever does revisit this world and kind of revisiting more of this idea of the Adept. And I thought it was like the perfect amount of magic in this world, where it was like a little bit of magic but not everyone magic, and I enjoyed that. And so overall, this was a 4-star book for me. I thought it was fun. I went into it wanting a fun heist adventure, and it gave me a fun heist adventure. There are definitely a couple things that maybe could have been better, but overall still a good book, a good debut, and I would definitely be interested more in this world if this author revisited the world, or just I'd be interested in what else this author wrote, because I enjoyed her writing and I enjoyed her ideas and what she did with it. So again, this book comes out on September 7th, so if you are interested in this, you should definitely pick it up. And yeah. Thanks for watching my review, and I will see you in my next video.